The purpose of Hello magazine is to provide a colourful, popular magazine with lots of articles about celebrity lifestyles. The purpose of Walker's Crisps is to provide a convenient snack foods. The purpose of Ryanair is to be Europe's #1 low-cost airline. The purpose of HBOS is to be the world's leading bank, meeting the needs of business and private customers. These organisations supply goods and services, crisps, cheap air travel and bank accounts. They usually do this at a profit. Hello is an example of a business that makes a profit. Why else do businesses supply goods and services? Hello is an example of a for-profit business, but not all businesses set out to make a profit. The main types of businesses are not all businesses try to make a profit. Sometimes they have other motives. Purposes of businesses. For-profit businesses. Businesses providing goods for free. Businesses selling goods at costs. Businesses selling at below costs. There are many other products and services that are provided for free. A good example is soup runs to feed homeless on the streets of London and other larger cities. Again, these services are provided by volunteers. Another example is the Samaritans, a charity aimed at providing support for people who are contemplating experiencing feelings of distress or despair, including those which could lead to suicide. The Samaritans run a 24-hour telephone helpline. Rather than providing goods and services for free, an organisation could supply them at cost. Here, an organisation would be seeking just to cover its costs. For example, a community centre in a local village may organise a children's Christmas party at cost. The organisers work out that the costs of hiring a children's entertainer, buying in food, buying presents for all the children and paying for the lighting and heating of the hall would come to £500. There are 50 children coming to the party, so the price charged for each child is £10. The cost altogether is £500. Money charged equals £10 times 50 children. Finally, a business may provide goods and services at below cost price. The business can do this only if the loss that it makes is covered by some other form of income. So who owns that business? For-profit businesses. Have you ever wondered who owns Marks & Spencer or Tesco or Coca-Cola? These are well-known names that we are familiar with. Today, these businesses are owned by lots of different people called shareholders. Each shareholder is part owner of the business depending on how many shares they have. This type of business is called a PLC. Originally, however, large companies were usually set up by just one or a small number of people. Marks & Spencer, for example, was started by Michael Marks, who was a door-to-door seller of items that he charged only a penny for. The items included needles and thread, which he sold from a tray that he carried round with him. Jack Cohen, the founder of Tesco, was a market trader. Sole traders are businesses owned by just one person, working on their own. They make all the decisions themselves, but they are able to take all the profits. However, they only have a limited amount of funds to buy stock and premises. Michael Marks eventually joined together with a partner, Tom Spencer. The two of them had more capital and could share out the jobs involved in running the business. Eventually, they were able to run a number of market stalls in Leeds and the north of England. Eventually, they brought their first shop. A partnership usually involves the partners putting together a partnership contract that is kept by a solicitor. It sets out who is responsible for what in the business and how the profits will be shared. Partnerships usually consist of about 2 and 20 partners. Your local GP surgery is probably a partnership, and probably your vet and your dentist. Solicitors form partnerships as do accountants. Builders and other groups of self-employed people may operate as partnerships. Limited companies. Sole traders and partnerships are a good way of setting up a small local business. However, if you want to expand further afield, you will need more funds. A good way of getting these funds is to invite other people to put their money into your business. As we saw earlier, they are called shareholders. Shareholders will be keen to enter your business if they think it will be successful and make a profit. They will be reluctant to join if they stand to make losses when the business does badly. To look after the interests of shareholders, there is a legal protection called limited liability. A liability is a debt owned by one person or organisation to another. Limited liability limits the amount that a shareholder needs to pay out when a company makes a loss. Their liability is limited to the sum they have invested in shares in a business. This is very important. If I buy £500 worth of shares in a well-known company and it unfortunately goes bust, owing millions of pounds, all I will lose is a maximum of £500. In technical terms, my liability is limited to £500. All companies in Britain have limited liability, and this is why shareholders are willing to buy shares. There are 2 types of companies: private limited company. These have limited LTD after their name. Public limited companies. These have PLC after their name. Private companies are ones where shares are sold privately. Shareholders in the company choose a board of directors to run the business. The directors make day-to-day decisions. The directors choose a managing director who is the key day-to-day decision maker. The board of directors decides who else can buy shares in the company. The board, therefore, has control over who owns the business. They will not sell shares to people who pose a threat to them. Private companies often start off as a family business.